Okay, welcome back to Sports Broadcasting. Tonight, I'm here to interview former Bucknell women's basketball coach and the founder of Next Level Strong, Coach Fedorjaka. To start off the interview, I will ask the question about the game of basketball itself. What do you think is the most important part about the game that separates it from all the other sports?
For me, like my passion for the game, I think it's so fast, so much action, so much teamwork I love about it. And I think just, so much movement on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, I like that there's only about 5 people on the court, and spacing is a huge thing. I like that. So throughout your basketball life, you've been playing ball as probably a young girl, and then varsity basketball, which soon led you to a college career at Fairfield, and eventually developed into a coaching career at Bucknell. If you had to choose between those stages, which do you think was the most enjoyable and why?
Oh, that's a great question, but I would say this, and I'm really being genuine in saying this, I don't know that I could pick a favorite. I think that's every stage of my life, that was my favorite, because obviously you want to be young once, and play, so I would never, ever want to give up that experience because I still love to play to this day. But yet, as you get older, and now maybe, physically as you get much older, but certainly as you graduate from college and past a career, to be able to still love the game and give your love of the game to other people and teach is so, so important. So that's an awesome question, but I think every stage of it has been perfect in basketball in my life, but I don't know that I could pick a favorite.
Okay, so during your playing career at Fairfield, you helped them to their school's first ever NCAA tournament, and then as a senior you were co-captain of the squad, and then received an award as Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference team member, all academic. So what was the one moment that you reminisce the most in college?
Without a doubt, the moment that is the biggest memory for me and most enjoyable was winning the championship and going to the NC2As. And I used to say to my players at Bucknell, people ask you, well, a game where you scored this many points or a game when individually doesn't compare. None of that. I don't even remember those moments. I remember moments with my team, winning the championship. I remember moments off the court and on the court with your teammates. By far the most enjoyable of the experience.
It'd be really cool to play on national television, especially because women's basketball is always in UConn, South Carolina, and all those. So it's probably really cool to play on national television. So after your playing career at Fairfield, you coached at Bucknell University and you played in the Soika Pavilion. What would you best describe the atmosphere there on a consistent basis?
Oh, it was awesome. I actually I was lucky. I got to coach in Davis gym. You're probably a little too young to remember Davis, but Davis was the gym that was in. So I actually coached a lot of years at Davis. That environment was unbelievable because it still exists now. Volleyball plays in there at Bucknell now. But that was so loud. People were on top of you. It was incredible. Soika came on. It was funny when we first went to Soika. Beautiful facility, obviously gorgeous. It almost was interesting when you ran the first practice. It felt so big, just because we had been in Davis for so long. But Soika, I think the thing Bucknell did so well there was they made it big enough to have an arena type feel, but they kept it intimate enough that it didn't lose. Because sometimes you see mid-majors or small, Division I schools that go too big with their facilities,
and then there's not much seats.
Correct. You could have a couple thousand people, 5,000 people in there, but it feels really empty. So I think Bucknell did an amazing job at creating just the perfect size. But it was obviously a tremendous venue. I thought it was the best venue in the Patriot League to play in. And it just was a great facility to coach in.
Yeah, when we went to Bucknell last year, we went to a couple of men's basketball games, and the regular season game, they played Navy and won. The atmosphere, it was pretty good because it was senior night, but they didn't really have the atmosphere that they did when we went to the Patriot League tournament that was held there. And that was just, it's super crazy at D1 level.
Right.
So, saying all that, if there were any 2 key components that any aspiring young basketball player would need in their game, if you could choose 2, what would they be and why?
Great question. So you're going to be a broadcaster. I would say unselfishness. I know that's not a skill. I'm going to give you a couple things. I'm going to give you a couple off the court. I think unselfishness is really, really important. You hear me talk about it all the time when I coach. I'm huge when I coach. It's got to be players that share the ball and understand that, as you mentioned, it's 5 players on the court at once. And it's not anyone as great as any one player can be. You absolutely need your teammates. It's a team sport. You got to win in. So I think unselfishness, teamwork, that type of thing. I think conditioning level, like, is a huge one for me.
Yeah.
My teams, I really like to play fast, up-tempo, run, press. So I always think if you can out-condition your opponent, obviously you gotta have skill set and all that, but if all things are equal and my team's in better condition, we're probably gonna have a good chance of winning that game. I think mental toughness is another big one. I think people a lot of times focus, and you've got it, you're right, you can teach them. I've seen some great players that are tremendous athletes, tremendous skills, but aren't mentally strong, you know, and
then they break in those moments.
They break down. Adversity hits, because I said to my players, you're always going to hit adversity. If you're the best player in your league, you're going to face adversity individually and collectively. So you've got to be able to handle adversity. You've got to be able to stay composed. And I think coachability, you know, I'm taking off-court skills, coachability, because I think, again, any player I've seen might be great, but if they can't learn and can't be taught and don't want to be taught, there's just going to be an end point at some point. So I think those things as far as attributes. And as far as skill set, you know, I always say to people that people are like, well, shooting ability or scoring ability. You know, I've had players even at the D1 level that weren't, you know, incredible offensive players, from their own self in terms of their ability to score, but they became starters. They became like captains for. I'm thinking of one kid that was a 3-year captain who literally was just a workhorse on the defensive end. She could guard in the post, she could guard on the perimeter. And on offense, she wasn't a scorer, but she helped everyone else score, you know, and so, correct, and she played with 4,000-point scores. So she was smart. You know, she set great screens. And by her senior year, to be honest with you, I don't know what she averaged, 8 or 10 a game. She ended up having some, you know, consistently scoring because she was so unselfish to get people open. So I think rather than say it's one thing, I think players have got to understand, not try to be something they're not. If your God-given talent is, you know, a great rebounder, own it. Want to be the best rebounder there is, and there's going to be a spot for you. Don't try to be the scorer. Don't try to be, you know, the kid bringing up the floor. Do what you do well. And I think too many players try to be something else, something they think they need to be. But if everyone can find what it is they do, whether it's being a defender, whether it's being a rebounder, whether it's being a screener, and do it well, you're going to have a role, in my opinion. You're going to be able to build yourself a role on your team.
Yeah. Basically comes down to intangibles and the want to play the game. So the final is a quick question, which to me the answer seems pretty obvious. Who was the single greatest person to ever play the game of basketball?
Oh, I personally, well, I have a couple favorites. I love Michael Jordan. I love Michael Jordan. That's probably, is that your obvious answer?
He has 6.
Oh, nice. Right, team championships. I loved his charisma too, and the way he played with his teammates. He was such a good leader, right? He was such a good teammate. My other one I loved was Magic Johnson. Like, I loved Matt. I just thought his love of the game to me while he played. I mean, he was so talented, like ridiculous size as a point guard and skill set. But I think for me it was just pure. He just seemed so happy playing the game, right? And I thought he would have been the ultimate teammate to play with.
Yeah. And another fun player to watch, like, goes wrong with Magic Johnson, his passing skills and everything, but Allen Iverson's ball handling, he's also fun to watch. So that wraps it up. The interview wraps it up. So thank you for the extra time, and that was Coach Fed on Sports Broadcasting, and thanks for watching.